Hey guys, so today we're just going to talk about how to structure your training towards competition and also how to have a game plan. I think one of the most frustrating things you can do is go into a competition, not knowing the rules, not knowing anything, and just be like, I see how it goes, and I just go with the flow. I feel like if you pay $120 or whatever you do, and you just go in and get DQ'd or just lose, I think you have to try to. We can do better than that, to be honest. So the way I think you should structure your training is that if you have a competition, you should try at least like 4 weeks out, 6 weeks out to work on your A game. And if you're newer and you're a white belt and you don't even have an A game, you have to think about, if I have a submission or if I have a position I know I'm good at, you have to figure out, how do I get to that position. So you have to maybe look at if I'm trying for mount is your best position, like how do I structure my game plan to get into mount and get like a head and arm. All right, so you need to take him down, you have to pass the guard, and you have to get to mount, right? So you kind of have to structure it in a way. If you're a little bit more experienced, right, then you have to figure out, like, if half guard on bottom is all I play, how do I get to there, and how do I make sure that I get my grips so I always can sweep. And these kind of ways is like, I think it's important that you actually try to do as much specific training in the gym with just your favorite position, because I want you to think about your favorite position as a place where you spend more time than the other person, so the chance of you winning the exchanges will be a lot higher. Instead of you trying just to be in the close guard or butterfly, you just go to your comfort zone and you just throw out your things there. So I think, like, if you have a rope map, you should always be like, what is your best position? Spend as much time there and really try to understand that if your best position is a sweep position, that you will not win the match automatically, but you will get 2 points. So if you will get 2 points with a half guard sweep, where will you end up? You will probably end up in half guard. If you go from half guard, most likely you will sweep and end up in half guard. So you have to be like, I'm gonna sweep from half guard, I'm gonna get on top of half guard, and then you need to pass so you don't get swept. But you should always have this confidence that no matter what happens, if you reset, you can go directly back to half guard, even though he know it. So even though the guy know that you create a half guard, you should be able to always sweep him from that position. All right, I think so. Of course, if you get into elite level, you might have to change it up. But for blue, purple, brown, I think this is a pretty solid plan. All right, and whenever you go in and you structure things, 6 weeks out, we start to do this specific training, and then you have to add a little bit more of conditioning. You need to do some assault bike, or you need to do a little bit of bicycle 2 times a week, especially if you only train to like 2 to 3 times a week. You need to get high pulls at least 5 times a week coming up towards a competition. And the reason why I say that is that if you start to gas out in your match, it's just gonna get worse for you. And the more you get gassed, the less you can think. And we really need to start to be clear whenever we're coming in towards the competition. And when we come on the competition day, I think is one of the most important thing is to get a high pulse in the morning, just to feel how the nerves are, because it's so normal to have nerves. It's just to accept it. But if we just can feel like if we're very nervous or slightly not nervous or not nervous at all, because not nervous at all is not good, but too much nervous, we might need to like do a couple burpees or get our heart rate up, just to feel our body will be normal. And I would say, if you're not nervous at all, I will go to the venue a little bit earlier just to get a little bit nervous, because I don't think your body triggers as good as if you're not nervous. So for me, if I don't fight a guy who's nervous and I fight a guy who's nervous, I would much rather fight a guy who's not nervous than really nervous, because the really nervous guys are actually the scary guys, because those are the one who gets like hyper focused and stuff. So I think it's very important to get in there and feel the adrenaline and feel like the nervousness. And also, don't skip your warm up, and don't skip like being on time on the mat, because sometimes I think it's better to be at the place where you can step on the mat quicker than be there later. Because if you're there a little bit late and you have to rush, I feel like it's more stress on the head. So I would say, as soon as you can see you can step on the mat, I just think you should go into the bullpen. And then you really have to reflect on what kind of game plan you did, and you have to tell your coach what you're gonna do, and then you have to stick to it all the way through. Not halfway, but you have to go all the way through with the game plan. And if it don't work, then you have to see if you can like troubleshoot it out. If you can like troubleshoot afterwards, what went wrong, and so on. Was it a conditioning thing? Was it a physical thing? Or was it just mostly like just a technical thing? And I think it's pretty easy to see whenever you get on tape what you could work on. But I think with Europeans coming up in the gi, for Kevin who's watching this, I think you should work on your half guard, you should work on your conditioning, and you should work on not turtling too quick and really try to sweep. And I think this is some way that you can try to just try to work on your mindset towards competing, but also work on how to game plan. And I think it's so important that before you even start to, of course you sign up for the tournament, but right after you sign up to the tournament, I think you should sit down, use an hour, just structure out what you're gonna do, and then use the 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 2 weeks just to get as good as that as possible, so you have the best chance for results, and stick to your plan.